welcome into another episode of As I See It, the debate show that puts all of the world's most pressing questions on the table to solve them once and for all. I'm your host, Kayla Tyler. It seems as though this next topic is constantly resurfacing, and it's something almost everyone has a strong opinion about one way or the other, so let's shed some light on it. The question is cheerleading a sport? I'm joined by two esteemed panelists. First, four-time captain of his cheerleading squad, president of Rah Rah Cheer Camp, and the head of It's Not All Glitter and Bows blog. Please welcome John Earl.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And on the other side of the desk, former Miami linebacker, now NCAA and Olympics Committee executive, Chris Felchi.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, I'm really glad to have you here. Let's get right into it. Now, John, I'm going to start with you. Your baseline defense is cheerleading a sport.
Yeah, cheerleading is absolutely a sport. I don't even feel like I need to say that it's a defense. I feel like this is a statement. It's one of the hardest sports known to man. It requires extensive gymnastics and tumbling ability that you just don't see with pretty much any other tryout for sports that are out there, high school or professional. So cheerleading, in my opinion, and really I think the nation's opinion, is that it is very much a sport.
Absolutely, and you know that is a very divided topic. Chris, you don't think that cheerleading is a sport. Would you consider it an activity?
Yeah, so it's absolutely not a sport. It's the activity that happens during a sport. It's like it's a halftime show, or it's more of the entertainment aspect of the real sports. So it doesn't,
Right, absolutely. So pointing to what you're saying there, Merriam-Webster, the dictionary, defines a cheerleader as a person who is a member of a group, typically a group of young women, who shout out special songs or chants to encourage the team and entertain the crowd during a game in sports like American football and basketball. John, what do you have to say to that? Is the dictionary wrong?
Okay, look. Obviously, there is the entire component to cheerleading that involves pumping up the crowd, entertaining, and really being there for the team. But I think what's really important to consider, especially within the last 20 years, is the idea that cheerleading on the high school and collegiate level is so much more than just pumping up a crowd. They have competitions, they have nationals, there are all of these different events that happen between the cheerleading squads, and with those competitions is more athleticism involved than I've ever seen in any other sport.
Interesting. Chris, your take on that?
Let me tell you what pumps up a crowd. Me coming from the outside and blindsiding a quarterback. That's what pumps up a crowd. I'll get that crowd riled up because I laid out the other team's quarterback. And I love doing it in the away stadiums too, because it gets them even more mad. Mm-hmm. Fans love it. Mm-hmm. I'm a big guy, as you can see, so I really knock them out. And when I pump up the crowd, I also pump up the cheerleaders. They start giving me my little song, my sack song, when I sack a quarterback, and it pumps them up.
I'm really sorry that you are so conceited in your ways that you think that the cheerleaders are saying your song. The cheerleaders are there to support the crowd after you just got your 4th CTE and you're on the ground.
Your point there, John, to support the crowd. Does a sport, let's move on to kind of a different way to look at it.
Okay.
Does a sport have to be featured in the Olympics to be considered a sport? Because as we know, even though the IOC, the International Olympics Committee, has recognized it as a potential sport in the future, it currently isn't. So does it need to be in the Olympics in order to be considered a sport?
Let me just argue this, Kayla. Do we really need the validation of the Olympics in order for something to be what we want it to be? I mean, we have all of these Russian athletes who are banned from the Olympics coming up. Are they all of a sudden not athletes anymore because they can't compete in the Olympics?
Chris, your take on the Olympics?
Well, I mean,
wrestling also is not in the Olympics. That's very much a sport as well. I would very much argue that cheerleading being a sport is not invalidated by the fact that it is not in the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, the Olympics it's an interesting, because football's not in the Olympics either. So, football is it's a more violent sport, so they try to take it out. That's my take on that. And football's more of it's not, I don't think, a popular sport around the entire world than it's more in America, I feel. But it's a contact sport, and I mean, I don't see how cheerleading is
Right.
in
If
that
you're going to
competition
say that
range.
cheerleading isn't a contact sport, then you have not watched more than 5 minutes of someone not only being tossed and flipped in the air, but the possibility and eventuality of them hitting the ground. It is absolutely
All right, gentlemen,
a competition.
I just want to, last point here, I'd like to bring this up. Chris, your daughter is actually a cheerleader. How would she feel, okay, if she tuned in right now and heard your stance? Is she aware?
I have a daughter. No. Well, I mean, I raised her from a young age, obviously, like since she's been born. So I told her that, you can cheerlead if you want. I'm gonna let you be you and do what you want, but just don't go around telling your friends that it's a sport. I mean, the Dallas Cowgirls don't compete against anybody. They're just, cheering the crowd up. So I mean, she's having fun. I'm not saying cheerleading can't be fun, but it's just not a sport.
Certainly. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining in on this debate today. Obviously something that will continue to be a debate in the future, but stick with us. When we come back, we'll have your next hot debate ready to go. We'll be right back.